In this video, we'll be going over the IRS Interactive Tax Assistant tool that helps taxpayers determine whether or not they are eligible to apply for an individual taxpayer identification number. So an individual taxpayer identification number, also known as an ITIN, is a tax processing number issued by the IRS for certain resident and non-resident aliens, their spouses, and their dependents. It is not a replacement for a Social Security number, except as used for identifying a specific individual for tax purposes with the IRS. So the information you'll need is the type of visa, if the person applying has one, and the reason why you need an ITIN. A taxpayer whose ITIN has been deactivated and needs to file a U.S.-based tax return can reapply for one using Form W-7, which is the application for IRS Individual Taxpayer ID Number. We'll put a link to the article and the video that we've created for that and other tax forms in the show notes. According to the IRS, this tax assistant tool should take about 7 minutes to complete. So let's go ahead and begin. So in this case, our first question is whether or not you have received a green card, also known as Form I-551, as a permanent resident of the United States. So let's see. If we select yes, then you need to select a reason why you would need to apply for an ITIN. So you're filing your own tax return, being claimed as a spouse, so on and so forth, applying for an extension on IRS Form 4868. Let's select that. So in this case, it appears that you would be eligible for a Social Security number, and if you're eligible for a Social Security number, then you should apply for that instead. So don't apply for a ITIN if you are eligible for a Social Security number. To do that, you have to contact the Social Security Administration. If they won't issue you a Social Security number, then you may be able to apply for an ITIN. So I'll put a link to the form that you would use to request a Social Security number in the show notes as well. And in case you're unfamiliar with Form 4868, we've written some articles on that as well. So let's go back and select a different reason. Let's select filing your own tax return. So again, it reverts back to your being eligible for a Social Security number. So let's go back and say that you don't have a green card. So do you have a U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services photo ID card or other documents? Let's just say you do. And then is it stamped resident alien, employment authorization? Do you have an employment authorization document? Let's select yes. And then let's just say you want to file your own tax return. So in this case, again, you're eligible for a Social Security number, so you would not be eligible for both a Social Security number and an ITIN. So remember, you're only eligible for an ITIN if you're not eligible for a Social Security number. So let's go back and say that you don't have one and it's not stamped as a work permission document. Do you have a visa? So it can be either current or expired for this question. Let's just say you do, and then you can select the type of visa that you have. Let's say that you have a non-student visa. Were you employed or will you be employed while you're in the United States? Let's just say yes, and you would like to file your own tax return. It says, nope, you're eligible for a Social Security number, so you can't do that. So let's pick a different type of visa. And then let's also select that you're not employed and you're being claimed as a dependent on a tax return. So in this case, an ITIN is only assigned to an applicant who qualifies to be claimed as a dependent for a tax return. So dependents can only be claimed as exemptions prior to 2018. The deduction for personal exemptions has been suspended through 2025. So you are not eligible under these circumstances for an ITIN unless you qualify for an allowable tax benefit. So let's see if we can find a reason that would allow us to file. So let's say we're being claimed as a spouse on a tax return. Oh, appears the same thing applies. Let's see if we can estimated tax payment. So in this case, you are eligible to file for an ITIN. You would not file your Form W-7 with your estimated tax payment. Instead, you would enter your ITIN on the Social Security line of your estimated tax payment. You would enter ITIN to be requested, and then you would file your Form W-7 separately. When you file your original tax, you would apply using your most current Form W-7 when you file your original valid U.S. tax return. Applications for an ITIN only now require original identity documents or copies that were certified by the issuing agency. So you can't use a notarized copy. You have to use original documents or certified copies. And then an ITIN only is issued after you file the tax return and meet other requirements. Attach proof of your non-work status to your W-7 application and allow 7 weeks for the IRS to process your application. If you're overseas or if it's during tax season, such as between January and April, you should allow about 9 to 11 weeks. Let's find maybe a different, let's say you're here on an O-1 visa and you will be employed. So you are filing your own tax return. You're not eligible, again, because you might be eligible for a Social Security number. You have to go through that process. So let's go back and say you don't have a visa. And you're not employed, and you are, maybe you're applying for a different reason. So let's say you have passive income, like you have money deposited into a bank. In this case, you would be eligible. You would file your W-7. You would allow 7 weeks for the IRS to process your application, and additional time if you're filing from overseas. So that's all the scenarios we're going to cover in this tax assistant. Of course, your situation largely depends on the purposes that you are in this country for, whether or not you have a green card, or if you have a, what type of visa you have, what tax benefit or obligation you may be filing for to help you determine whether or not you are eligible for an ITIN. So we do have links in our show notes to various forms that were mentioned during this video. We've written articles and we've produced videos on those. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, comments, or if there's a specific topic that you want me to cover in a future video, please hit me up in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.